tell people that I'm a musician and I put out a couple albums and also that I write, people always ask me like the same question like over and over again. And I'm like, huh. So I really started thinking about it, and I think I found the answer to how do we get in and out of creativity uh, easier. You know, I call it the pocket. As a musician, you always want to be in the pocket. In the pocket, you're in there. It feels like you can't make a mistake. Like everything you do is gonna work, and that is the most exciting feeling. So how did I get there? Well, I had a really hard time at first, and I just felt like as soon as I had an idea, I had to hurry up and grab onto it and hold onto it and squeeze the life right out of it, and that's not how it works. It wasn't until I read this that I really got to understand. So this is National Geographic. It's an old one. It's one of my favorite magazines, and it actually has a musician inside an MRI machine, and his brain is being scanned as he's improvising. And it shows exactly what, oh, it just makes sense. I love that God makes so much sense. He's the divine artist. So let me read you this right quick. Because if you see right here, this region across here in the brain. Okay, so using fMRI brain scans, hearing specialist Charles Lim has found that jazz musicians and freestyle rappers suppress the self-monitoring part of their brains as they improvise. What? That's right. So you have to turn that off so you can play with others, really, and you listen at the same time. Lim plans to use this machine to measure electrical activity in the brains of other creative individuals, including comedians. Tries it on himself, a lab in San Fran. The only thing that works, says jazz pianist Keith Jarrett, improvising is letting go. And really that is what it is. You're not monitoring. It's weird. It's such a weird, cool feeling that I really wish every human being could have. That's what I would love. Y'all to be able to feel this. The greatest feeling in the world, for me, besides making love and having my daughter in my arms after giving birth to her, is that feeling you get when you're on stage and you're playing a song that's your song that you wrote, and God knows how long it took you to write it. Could be 20 years, and you're up there and you're connecting with the whole band. The feeling is phenomenal, and you're listening to everyone else and yourself at the same time, and you're looking at the audience, and there is this great rapport that happens. And I mean, that's really the most exciting feeling, is that connection. And so that's really what my whole deal is. Connection, right? Okay. Oh God. Yeah, guys. Health update. I'm alive. I'm doing good. Okay, so I don't know if you guys looked at the screenplay, but I realized that screenplay, No Vacancy, I've been reading to y'all, that I wrote 8 billion years ago. I actually started to write a book from the screenplay. I thought, oh, I'll do it backwards. I'll write the screenplay first, then write the book. And it's kind of cool. I think it's a great insight into like the process of being creative and moving between mediums. So I really love to read you guys this. Okay, so let's see. I don't know if y'all remember the first scene. I love the first scene that just really slap you in the face. So This is Gwen, First Light. It was a typical hot day on the streets of New Orleans. There was no breeze, and a slight dampness filled the air as the sky threatened rain. An older uptown home, long and narrow, with chipping paint, sweltered in the southern heat. The windows were wide open with fans blowing curtains in every direction. The music was blaring as if to cover up something happening inside. This was apparent on the porch steps before the door was even opened. The screen door suddenly burst wide with an overstuffed suitcase and a guitar. The sound of things being strewn about outweighed the loudness of the music that supplied the soundtrack to this exuberant exit. Inside, footsteps banged around the house to the beat as a small girl with long brown hair down her back made haste with her packing. A note was scribbled down and tossed onto the dresser. A mirror shattered in the next room. The smell of spray paint filled the air as the can splattered writings on the walls. Man, she was mad. There was a rush of wind as the bathroom door was thrust open, and the sound of first the toothbrush hitting the toilet bowl, and then the flush. She opened the front door and stood one last time, looking out on her beloved neighborhood. Perhaps she will come back someday, she thought, when the memories fade. Gwen grabbed her belongings and climbed into a '57 Chevy, cherry red, her most prized possession. Smoke kicked up from the oyster shells that lined the driveway as she spun out into the street. More music from her exit soundtrack bumped from the windows. When the smoke cleared, all that could be seen was the license plate that read, with both optimism and stark reality, that you are here. I would love to have a license plate that said that. Okay, so, wow, I really like that paragraph. I think I should just, I don't know, keep going with it, right? With writing the novel from the screenplay. I think that was pretty cool because I have a skeleton now. I imagine it like a body with bones and flesh on those bones, and I'm building this person, it feels like, every time I create something, and that's just so exciting. Okay, look, I love Barb, the ant. Let's see what she's up to. It's cool, this is so old, I don't remember it. Okay, Barb's fingers smoke. The garden was not visible from the street, except the tops of the palm trees that towered over the white columned antebellum. A porch wrapped all the way around and was filled with hanging plants and furniture for lounging in the southern nights. The wind chimes told of rain that was soon to fall in droplets large enough to mimic drumming sounds on the rooftops like a second line. I like that. A woman's voice was coming from the back porch, both gruff and shrill, littered with cackling laughter. To no surprise, the woman was cozy inside a cloud of smoke that billowed from her long-stemmed cigarette. Her pale, slender hands decorated with red paint were porcelain in nature and miraculously did not reveal her age. She was the classic example of a Southern belle, with a complicated, interesting history and a cookbook the size of Texas. The porch boards creaked as Gwen approached the edge of her Aunt Barb's smoke ring. Gwen, First Light. It was a typical hot day on the streets of New Orleans. So that's what I was doing. So it's like it's a novel screenplay. I don't know. It's kind of like a hybrid. Interesting. I'm digging it so far. Wow. Okay. So now we're gonna cut back to Gwen. It was a typical hot day on the oh wait, I did that already. Hold on. The porch boards creaked as Gwen approached the edge of her Aunt Barb's smoke ring. However, nothing could be heard over the exuberant laughter. Maybe I use exuberant too much. Gwen stopped suddenly and tucked behind the edge of the house. She watched silently for a few minutes as tears welled up in her pale green eyes. Her aunt stopped laughing for a moment, and Gwen made a step towards her, but then turned and left the same way she had come, taking note to avoid any creaking boards that may reveal her presence. She climbed into her red convertible and drove away, slowly looking for the house in her rearview mirror as she turned the corner. Open highway. The swamps that surrounded the interstate were littered with sad-looking trees dripping with moss. Little houses that appeared to be made of rotten wood were so small that the boats beside them seemed larger than the flat pirogues they actually were. They reminded Gwen of the times growing up, when the streets would often flood and schools would be canceled all around the great Crescent City. All the kids would run around in the rain and frolic in the watery streets that had become byways for the flatboats called pirogues that were usually used for alligator hunting in the swamps. The boats carried around her uncles who took to fishing for crawdads, nutria, or even alligators that had been pushed out of the canals that ran along the houses. That's a bad sentence. Run-on sentence. All right. Her mind wandered around, remembering the times her mischievous uncles would scare her with her catch and scare her with their catch and torture her till she would scream and her mother would come running. Like Cobra! She missed her mother's